Good evening, welcome one and all to what is round 6 of the AC Assetto Corsa Simhound JCW Mini World Tour. It's a pleasure to bring you tonight's race. Crikey Kangaroo, boy oi mate, we're down under. I'm sorry, I will never do that again. Phillip Island brings us for round 6 of tonight's championship. One Mike Racing around this very famous Phillip Island circuit. Tight, twisty at points, but majority it being high speed. It will be a challenge for these front-wheel drive cars to power themselves through the turns and keep it on track without understeering off into the gravel. In the comms booth with me this evening is Scotty. Good evening, Scotty. How are we?
Good evening. Great to be back on what's a very warm day here, but I'm certainly glad I'm not driving with just how hot it is. But wonderful little track. I did a few laps last week. Great fun, this Phillip Island circuit. One of those tracks that's predominantly focused around the bikes, so you have a lot of long, medium to high speed corners, some tricky hairpins, including turn 10. Very steep downhill braking zone. We'll see that when we get into qualifying. But before we do, let's have a little look at how the standings are coming into this round.
Absolutely. Lord Fraser leading away with 498 points, with the most kilogram of ballast being 50 kilograms. We'll keep an eye out and see how it affects him this week. Kelzak second, Dondolo third. Fourth is Ash Hill, Bevan fifth. Gus Peters sixth. Stephen Bain seventh. Hine eighth. Otto Harkin ninth. And 10th, occupying that final ballast position, is Tim Bob, all the way down in 10th with 5 kilograms, and first place with 50. So that will try and shake up the order a little bit. Matt Holman 11th, Zach Silver 12th, McCardle 13th, O'Grady 14th, and Goodwin in 15th. Excuse me. And we go to the Pro-Am standings with the Steve Carroll Zach leading away in the pros of Fraser and Dondolo second and third. And Bevan 4th, Bain 5th, and Hill 6th, Hines 7th, Harkin 8th, Peters 9th, and Holman in 10th. And 11th, 12th, and 13th is Goodwin, Taran, and Lejev, all getting points on the board. All bar the bottom 3 in the pro standings in 3 figures worth of points. So good showing from them. In the AMs, however, a bit of a different story, a bit more points actually for Tim Bob, who would actually be leading the pro standings. With those amount of points, which is quite interesting to see. But Zach Silver in second with a very sizable gap between first and second. Third O'Grady and fourth Picardo, not much to separate them either. Adam Ely in fifth, Hearn sixth, Ben Mitre seventh, Lucas Smith eighth, Christian Overstreet ninth, Marco Toscano in 10th, John Crotty 11th, Darren Wilkes 12th, Mariano, that's a name, down in 13th overall. So 26 drivers signed up. A few missing from tonight's session, however. 15 drivers on circuit, which is still going to be plenty for a good night's worth of racing, but maybe the actual real-life summer sun tempting people out from their sim rigs tonight.
Yeah, just being one of those weeks. One of the reasons why I think we've sort of higher points in the AM standings is it's a little more spread out across the board. You know, you see a lot more people in around that 160 range, whereas it drops off a bit more in the AM standings, probably because most of the pro people have ballast. Only one of our AM drivers currently has ballast. And of course, we'd be Tim Bob at the top of those standings. Just give him a little bit of weight for this week. But we are getting into our first qualifying session of 10 minutes. First driver out on circuit is Mr. Jacob Hine. I'd say first was leading the way, has had a little adventure running out wide over the final corner.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's not going to be a good lap from him. It is going to be a flying lap, I should know. This is out laps for these guys, so we'll just wait a moment and we'll take us a break and they actually go onto their flying laps. We'll get more of a representative lap time as Stephen Bain, the first driver leading the circuit, to go and set a lap time.
Yeah, completing his lap. He's coming towards the end of the first sector into fast left-hander of Stoner Corner, and then that leads you into first of the hairpins for the track. Miller Corner, turn 4, gets the car rotated in nicely early into the corner, runs wide on the exit. That's probably going to compromise their exit somewhat. then into the left-hander here, Siberia, turn 6. Important corner this. Again, Stevie just sort of running wide a little bit, but keeps the car out of the gravel. Then we have this flat-out run down the back end of the circuit through turns 7 and 8. This is where ballast might make a little bit of a difference. Careful not to scrub the tyres too much. Then into long left-hander here, Lucky Heights, turn 9. Up over the crest as the corner tightens up a little bit, then straight into this downhill braking zone for turn 10. This tight right-hand hairpin, quite an awkward corner. And that leads you into the final couple of corners. 2 left-handers increasing in speed that lead you onto the start-finish straight. And Stevie will be the first to complete a flying lap for us here.
Indeed he will, and it looks like to be somewhat of a good lap. Nice and clean. We'll definitely see what the timing board says he comes to the line. He's got a car right behind him actually, getting a bit of a cheeky slipstream. It will be pole, but then Toscano immediately following, half a second quicker, and then Gus Peters pips them both. Kawasaki pits all 3 of them.
And Hartnett cross the line, misses out, had the purple middle sector, but that has disappeared from them. Dondolo has the purple first sector. Johan took the purple final sector with that lap there, but Friese is on a purple middle sector, so we'll have to see between our top 3 championship contenders who will be able to take pole position. First flying lap for Dondolo. Where does it put him? Puts him to the top by a quarter of a second, but can Friese take it off them up to line? Misses out by half a tenth of a second. First lap's done, still a few more to go as we have a little over half of the session still remaining.
Indeed, same format as with previous weeks. It's going to be 3 15-minute races. Qualifying all set for race 1. We'll then go qualifying again, following race 1 for race 2. A shorter qualifying session for race 2. Again, it really gives these guys maybe 2 or 3 laps to set a lap time. We'll have a race on race 2 for 15 minutes, and then race 3 will be based on a full reverse grid from race 2. So as I've said in previous weeks, take the grid finishing positions from race 2, flip it on its head, and you'll have your starting grid for race 3.
Indeed, Hartnett saying a purple first sector. In the middle sector, still improving their time, but it isn't the quickest. That will actually go to Johan. Again, another one for top 3 TAL contenders. First week that they've had close to that top end of ballast, 45 kilos. It was only 25 kilos last week, if I remember correctly. So as they come across the line, Gus Peters puts themselves up to 3rd, but it's only temporarily as Johan improves. Hartnett across the line puts themselves P4, losing out in, well, still personal best final sector, but not able to improve compared to those in front of them. He's within a tenth of that top time, though. Let's see who else is improving. Ben Myatt, who I think invalidated their first flying lap, is coming up across the line, obviously setting personal best sectors. They'll bump themselves up to P11 ahead of Tim Bob and Overstreet.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's all still to play for, and we are just awaiting to see and see who else can improve in that 14 drivers in the 14th position actually. M Moron in 14th. I hope I said that right without insulting them. Getting we've had Adam Ely popping back into the server as well. So 15 drivers. Maybe a bit of a technical issue there for Adam as he rejoins the server, yet to set a lap time in the pits, as I think Paul Grin's in the pits as well. Let's stick with Overstreet, see what he's doing. 2.5 seconds down on his previous best. He's going up through the middle sector. Got this long left-hander coming up. It's followed by a very abrupt, almost a hairpin almost, right hand. So he goes up the hill, over the crest. You see the corner ahead of him, slams on the brakes, downhill braking into the penultimate turn. And it's going to be balancing the throttle and the steering, not to get too much understeer on the car. Runnings it out wide for what is essentially maybe a double left-hander for the final turn. Power down, he's going to use curb on the inside. I'm sure he'll use a subtle amount of curb on the outside, and he does. As he's going to come to the line, it's going to be a 1 minute, 1:46.4. It's enough to bump him up a couple of positions.
City is improving. They already have provisional pole position, but can they set the benchmark a little bit higher? They've got 3 drivers within a tenth of them, so the pressure is on. But drivers struggling to improve a little bit throughout this session. They come across the line exactly half a tenth quicker, puts himself exactly a tenth clear top of the board. Max Moron, as mentioned, is setting a valid lap this time, invalidated their previous lap. They won't get this one on the board. They'll have time for 2 more laps. 146.8, just missing out on getting in front of Tim Bob. oNiD has got themselves out onto the circuit, though is on an out lap here. Let's see if anyone else is improving throughout the field. Tim Bob, personal best, middle sector. Didn't improve in the opening sector though, so over the lap, can they improve? They're not far from the back of Ben, but they invalidated in the final sector, so it won't be an improvement for them there. Let's go on board with Stevie Bain, who has improved in both the first and middle sectors. So let's see if he can bump himself a little further up the top 10.
No, exactly. Pushing his way up the order. It's very tightly packed between first and fourth. There's a bit of a gap between fifth, sixth, and all the way down. However, if Stevie can just find maybe a couple of tenths or so, he'll be able to challenge for ninth and possibly up to eighth. If it comes to the line, and it is going to be a couple of tenths he's going to be able to find. 145.7 up to P9, and he's got Harkonnen right behind him. Yeah, being a bit cheeky there, Harkonnen, getting a bit of a toe through turn 1. Oh, goes almost very wide.
I mean, we've got the toe out of the final corner to start finish line, has allowed them to pop into provisional pole by 12 thousandths of a second.
Ooh.
Good lap there from Harkonnen, taking advantage of, or lucking in, or whether they calculated it. It has worked out for them. Not for long. Dondolo, fastest final sector, pops themselves back up by 6 thousandths into provisional pole. Alfie Bevan has just gone purple sector 1. So let's jump on board with them. They're currently half a second off with their personal best time. Time is running out, is out for this session. So these are the final laps. These are the laps that matter. But quite a few drivers sitting in pit lane already.
Well, we'll see what they can do going up through the final sector. He's got a few more turns to go. He's very much flat out here. He's just carrying the momentum through from the previous corners and then carrying it into the next couple of corners and seeing how much they can carry through. It looks nice and tight. It looks relatively stable as Bevan gets now onto the brakes for the hairpin up into the penultimate turn. I'm going to call this the penultimate turn. So one long left-hander has a bit of a breather, and then suddenly another left-hander comes to finish off the lap. Runs it out on the curb on the right, gets the car turned in. As the Paradigm is going to use the curb on the exit. Not running too wide, actually keeping relatively all 4 wheels onto tarmac. Is this going to be an improvement for Alfie as he comes to the line? Fourth, 144.7.
Good start to lap, but couldn't quite maintain that advantage. Jacob Hine coming up to the line, can they improve? They do, up to P7, displacing Paul O'Grady. Believe, looking down the order, Max Moron might be the last person on a lap. oNiD unable to get themselves off of 15th position. Did improve, though, on that final lap with a few technical issues, believe, in the first half of the session. Didn't get as many laps as anyone else. That might have sort of scuppered their confidence a little bit. But using all of the curb out of the final corner is Max Moron. They didn't improve in the opening sector. Improvement in the middle sector, and does improve overall in the lap, but not enough to get themselves any further up. And that is going to make our grid for our first race tonight.
0.133. That is the gap between first and fifth.
I was about to say, 0.133 is not a big gap to go home about between top 2. Then I was like, wait, no, that's top 5. I mean, 6 thousandths between first and second, 15 thousandths between third and fifth. We're in for a cracking race here, aren't we?
Oh my god, it's going to be amazing. It's going to be brilliant. We see these guys duke it out, I'm sure, for the first quarter of an hour race, and now get to reset and go at it all over again.
Yep. So plenty of opportunity here. Will be very interesting to see how they do in the reverse grid race as well. But just as we wait for the for this third race, we still have Johan is still on a lap. They're not improving on the timing screen. And yeah, seems like some people just able to complete an extra lap when time has seemingly ran out.
Cheeky.
But yeah, we'll bring up, just as a reminder, what the ballast is for everyone. Friese, top of the standings, 50 kilos, down in P3. Johan, with that 45 kilos, down in 5th. Sedia, even with 40 kilos, up into P1. He's a little bit lighter. They've been getting used to 50 kilos the last couple of rounds. And this round, it is a sort of bit of a weight relief. Let's just bring that graphic back up. Ash Hill with 35 kilos isn't here today. Alfie Bevan, 30 kilos, a bit of a disappointing couple of rounds, has dropped them in the standings, giving them a bit of weight relief that has maybe helped them out a bit today. But yeah, that ballast, it certainly has made things very interesting for the qualifying we just witnessed.
Yeah. We'll see how that plays out going forward, but yeah, good to see some of those drivers still up there fighting for the top position, even though they've got the maximum amount of ballast. But it does shake things up, especially when it comes to the race as well. You're not going to be slipstreaming each other. You're not going to be able to get a toe off another car. You will be racing to flat out positions. So maybe that ballast kind of argument may be a bit more relevant as you get into the races.
Yeah, because the final corner leads onto quite a long straight, and with the speed of it, drivers will be hitting the rev limiter once again for the second week in a row towards T1 this time. We've seen some bump drafting last week. I wonder if we might see a bit more of that this week, especially from Alfie, who was the main protagonist, shall we say, in the bump drafting, and it seemed to work out for him. You know, it helped him close up to the battles in front, and then when the opportunities appeared, he was able to pounce, make the places up, and had some good finishes.
Very good indeed. We'll see how that plays out. Ignore my phone in the background. I do apologise. Put that onto silent. That's totally professional here at oNiD. It's all fine. As the cars do take to the grid. Brace yourself. 15 cars on the grid, still plenty of action to be had here at Phillip Island.
Yep, just the first of 3 races. Important run off the line coming up. You can see Paul on the outside for T1, does become the inside for T2. So a good start from Harkinen could see them into the lead. The lights on your screen lighting up as we get ready for the start of the first 15-minute race tonight. It's lights out, away we go. It looks like a good getaway from our front row, second row, lagging behind a little bit as we see Johan trying to make it 3 wide as they head towards T1. Hartnett has drawn alongside Dondolo for the lead. Will he be able to take it with the inside lane? He does indeed, still 3 wide there. From the second to third rows into T2 now. Can everyone sort their braking out? There's a car spinning in the background a little bit, and that's wide for Friese onto the grass. Paulo Grady onto the grass as well, dropping down the order. And yeah, difficult starts for 2 of our drivers. Have been very quick.
So, plus side of this, Lord Fraser Grady, 2 races still to go tonight. It's not all done and dusted. I'll get another crack at fighting for positions in tonight's round, but for now it's Harkin, Bevan and Dondolo your top 3 as it stands. Dondolo losing that pole position, dropping a couple of positions, but now regaining back up into second.
Yeah, Alfie Bevan had a dive to the inside of Miller corner on Dondolo. Dondolo has held it around the outside, got the move back, is trying to use slipstream now to get alongside. Coming towards turn 9, Lukey Heights will have the inside, will Alfie. But Dondolo's going to try and hang it the long way round. We'll have the inside for the hairpin coming up over the crest and now into the hairpin. Alfie on the outside is going to try and go for a cutback here. Can they get the car turned in? They do indeed, but it'll be the outside again for the final couple of corners. Meanwhile, Harkonnen running away with this race so far out up front.
is indeed a gap of over a second, mainly almost, as these three, second, third, and fourth fighting away for what is best of the rest. And that Valis Harkonnen not proving any issue for him at the moment. With it being he's on the low end of the bar, so I believe he's only got 10 kilograms, but however, the cars behind him, he'll be thrilled to see are continuing to fight away. It's allowing him to get a bit of clean air between him and his competitors.
He has definitely broken slipstream so far. Alfie down the inside of T1, but Dondolo holds the outside and has become the inside for the long left-hander of the Southern Loop. Turn 2, and has held on to now. Johan still just lurking there, holding on, waiting for their opportunity. Again, Alfie drawing alongside. 20 kilos lighter, remember, is Alfie, and that's just helping them in all of these acceleration zones. But Dondolo fighting back as hard as they can to hold on to P2. Just being a thorn in Alfie's side as much as Alfie is being a thorn in their side. That's Adamile in the background going wide into the grass. Stevie Bean also went wide at one point later on the last lap. That's dropped them both down to 12th and 13th respectively. Frieza already up to P9 already. Moron up to P as well. Ben Maya up to P7. So some good starts of the race to those that were a little further down. Alfie trying to go for the outside, rear end stepping out a little bit, and Dondolo just holding in front for now. Alfie not able to get alongside this time.
Yep, stays put and will indeed try and fight that one out once more. Dondolo looks to have a bit of a breathing space to Bevan, and yeah, we'll be quite chuffed with that. And if we're thinking, guys, fight away, I can try and get to the leader. And look at him go away, guys. Come on, let's work together a little bit potentially. But I don't think that's going to go through his mind as of right now.
Yeah, interesting that even with a little bit of fighting at the start of last lap, Dondolo, fastest lap of the race, though was only 0.03 of a second quicker than Harkonnen out front. Alfie running a little bit wider, starting to drop back a little bit, and is now under pressure from Johan.
Is indeed doing anything he can to try and get our position back. But Johan still, he's got a slipstream going into this second sector, but he can't do much with it until he gets to the next hairpin, which will be a right-hander coming up now. Stays tucked in, he's going to go defensive is Alfie into this tight right-hander, and Karos recognises that, stays put. But they're actually slowing, catching back up to Dondolo as well. Is this going to be a kind of, hold on a minute? I keep on saying they're going to try and work together to catch the leaders. They're probably not. But optimist in myself, thinking, yeah, they'll keep it calm and try and catch back up to the drivers up ahead, try and get for the lead. Nah, then I don't think they're going to. But we'll see how it unfolds. Going into the final sector now, Carol's like, no, it's not close enough to make any sort of move at the moment. It's going to be onto the back straight, or maybe into this tight downhill right-hander. And we have a car off. It's Max Smawn. And that is going to be a potential return to the pits, maybe.
Should be able
just pulled off.
They should be able to get going from the grass there, but they have returned to the pits now. But yeah, Frieza got past them on the previous lap and is now tracing down Ben Myatt for P7, who I believe is currently leading the AMS class at the moment. So if Ben can hold on, yeah, they'll be leading the way with 3 fastest laps in a row come through there from the top 3. Just to keep you updated, Sedi, as soon as they started to get that little gap to Alfie, fastest second sector, fastest third sector, and the fastest first sector of last lap. Though Alfie then got a little break from Johan, fastest second and third sector last lap to set the fastest lap of the race. They're not going to let Dondolo get away with this, but Dondolo is trying to not only get away from Alfie, but close up on Harkonnen, which they are doing ever so slightly. We'll swap back to this battle. As you can see, the cars all closing up into the braking zone for Miller Corner. Johan a little bit deep there, which isn't going to be ideal for them. But the question is, when do these 4 cars start fighting again? Who's going to be the cars fighting, running side by side, costing themselves time, and potentially letting someone else a little further in front run away? Alfie Bevan, another purple Sector 1, closing into Dondolo. It looks like they're just going to prevent Dondolo from catching Harkonnen here.
Potentially they'll try and close that gap back up, but that charge from Dundlo actually managed to close the gap by about half a second. Now he's got all two cars on his tail again. Wanted to try and get past. That's going to cause him a bit of a headache and maybe somewhat of an annoyance.
Somewhat of annoyance again through the final corner now for all three of these drivers. Let's see if we see any more fastest laps from them. Across the line now. Only Johan set a personal best. Interestingly, the first driver of the train was the slowest. Second was slightly quicker. Alfie was then even quicker. Johan was the quickest of all of them. So they're all closed in on each other on that last lap.
Yeah,
but it'll be interesting to see how long that continues. Meanwhile, Frieza has got themselves past Ben Myatt, who has Tim Bob, our AM Championship leader at the moment, chasing them down. Though I must say, very equal times. Only 11 thousandths last lap gained for Tim Bob on Ben Myatt. Actually, Overstreet was quicker than both of them on that previous lap. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. But meanwhile, it's closed in. Johan is trying to make the move on Alfie Bevan.
Is indeed, and it looks to be potentially almost moved on around the outside. If they can hold it, it'll be an amazing move if they can. I don't think they're going to. Being able to be shown the grass a little bit, and the outside line is very much almost the inside line with its long left-hander, but Kawasaki couldn't hold it.
Got Max Moran in the chat saying that their game crashed. Unfortunately, that is sad to hear, but still 2 races to come. So make sure to get yourself in when the server restarts, and hopefully there are no more issues, as it looked like it was a good race so far for you. So hopefully you can carry that momentum into the second race. But we'll continue our focus here on the first race. Just over 6 minutes to go. Can see Alfie, slow lap there, has dropped 6/10 on Dondolo that lap.
Ugh.
Putting them into the clutches of Johan and giving Dondolo the freedom to try and chase down Hartnett. We've got a little swap position. Overstreet, I think, ran wide out of the final corner, has allowed Adam Ide up to the final top 10 position.
Oh, that's going to be like taking candy from a baby. I'm sure Adam will be quite chuffed with that, actually. Going up into 10th. I know he was having a bit of a moan, shall we say, prior to the stream starting. We were having a quick discussion with him about the challenges this circuit and the car he's driving, and he says, I don't like it, this is a bad idea, but I love the abuse. So I'm going to race it and try and see what I can do.
Yep, see Frieza continuing on their recovery drive up to P6. They now have 5 seconds to catch Gus Peters, but only 5 seconds left in the race. Don't worry about that. Johan hasn't taken the lead. That's just a little timing error that should correct itself when they come through the middle, to the end of the middle sector. But yeah, Jacob using that slipstream quite effectively. So they are maybe even getting held up a little bit with the difference in weight. Is actually looking for a move. Frieza tries to close the door quite late. Runs a little bit deep. No, gets the car turned in for the hard pin. As they try and fight to stay in front is Jacob. Not, despite being a little further down in the championship, is using their lack of success whilst to try and let themselves fight back.
Doing a good go, isn't he? That is a good fight back through for Jacob. Not usually where we see him. He's usually a bit more further up the field, but making a good crack of it as it stands. He's looking to try and make a move up into turn 1. Let's not go back there. He doesn't have to run. Fraser maybe defends a little bit cautiously, maybe over defends a little bit. I don't think Jacob was anywhere near to make a move, but he'll stick behind him. He's going to have to stick behind him through here, or going way through turn 2 is not going to help his cause. Back, the track is undulating. It's quite deceiving at points how hilly, or how it does go up and down like a bit of a roller coaster, this circuit, especially as you go through into the middle sector. It'll go up, it'll basically go uphill essentially for the next couple of corners as Fraser goes deep, allows Jacob to briefly pull alongside, but then not to get the run through. Now he's going to have to be a bit mindful here. He'll go uphill in a few moments' time for the next sector, and he'll look to try and make a move. However, Alfie Beaver now trying to get past and fighting with Dondolo for position. They're side by side and going uphill now in this middle sector. And just look how much downhill this is of the circuit. On the brakes they go. Alfie darts back onto the racing line from going defensive, and has actually closed the gap big time, basically, to the back of Harklin. And now this lead battle looks to have developed into what could be a bit of a interesting final just under 3 minutes of this race.
Yeah, Alfie looking to try and take the lead of this race, having taken quite well to pass Dondolo, nearly getting passed by Johan as well. That's that point. That race has put in a new fastest lap and is pushing to try and take the lead from Hartland, having qualified 4th on the grid. Alfie showing their racecraft, their consistency as well this race, just being quicker, as Hartland down in the 45s last lap was a full second slower than Alfie behind, maybe struggling a little bit despite the fact they don't have as much weight. There is only 2 laps to go this race. Can Hartland hold on in front, or can Alfie Bevan get themselves up and take the lead of this race? We'll have to keep watching to find out.
Yep, absolutely. So 1 minute 40 to go. It will be this lap and one more. Just.
Yes, will be indeed. Looking over the rear wing of Hartland. Seems like Alfie's not closed in quite as much this lap.
No, not quite. Go downhill into the second to last turn, and he does close in the braking there. He's going to have very limited times to get a move done. It will be into turn 4, essentially. The next big move he'll be able to make, although he might get a good run through the final 10. He does. He's closing. He's got the slipstream. Harklin's looking vulnerable. He goes to the left of the circuit. He's going to start defending a little bit, is Harklin, but Alfie's got to run. They're side by side going through turn 1. Dear Lord, please someone left and let them through. So they go through turn 1. They're not going to left. They're going to go side by side. And Harklin's going to hold the inside line for turn 1. If Alfie can hold it, he can't. He goes ever so slightly wide. He manages to gather it up and keep it on circuit. Inside line for turn 2. And he's going to go uphill for another left-handed turn 3. But it doesn't matter because Alfie's made the move.
You could see Alfie was just a smidge wider through the final corner, able to carry more momentum, used all of the track and just avoided the curb on the outside of T1, but has Hartland fighting back. Hartland cut back out of turn 2, inside for turn 3, but it's a long way round of the hairpin here. Alfie leaves them the space, doesn't run them wide, as Hartland tries to carry the long way round, just has their bumper alongside. Is it going to be the inside? Yes, they send it back into turn 6. This could be side by side for the whole battle. Wiggle for Hartland, and they come together.
Oh, the slide as the door bangs and settles Alfie's car on the inside. Oh, that's disappointing. Nothing I think they've done wrong.
And Johan has pounced on Dondolo and is trying to take the lead of this race, having sat in 4th place for most of it. Is now potentially going to win. Dondolo just comes across the nose out of Liggy Heights into the hairpin. Johan trying to carry the momentum round the outside. 2 more corners to go. Remember, Dondolo is 5 kilos lighter than Johan, so should be able to hold on through the final corner now. Can Johan get a surprise run, sneak a last gasp victory? Look at the momentum they have. They're closing. Is it gonna be enough? They come across the line, and Dondolo will hold on to take the lead by take the win by just over a tenth. Jacob High never give up trying to fight back. Frieza will take P5, but maybe could have been P4 if they fought. Tim Bob had to go at Ben Might, but Ben able to hold on in the end. And Overstreet closing in on Adam Ida again after their mistake earlier this race. Wasn't quite able to close in. And still, Paulo Grady trying to fight their way past Stevie B and pushing Stevie, it looks like, out of the final corner. Yeah, indeed. but unfortunately pushing them across line will not get you the place. Bulgrady will have sell for 13th place, and Toscano, having had issues earlier on in this race, will be the last of our finishers after Max Moran had an unfortunate game crash.
Oh my god, that's brilliant. Absolutely incredible. What a race. Just... Toscano will take the final position, but that was certainly something for the first race this evening, and I'm sure we're going to get another fantastic race coming up in a few moments' time. Race 2 to qualifying, and then race 2 to follow. But Dundalo getting the win through the calamitous incident. It's not so close. I think it was just hard racing between the two of them, between Beaver and Harkonnen for the race win. I think the contact there just wigged out a little bit. Nothing I think either of the drivers did wrong at all. It's just one of those things.
Yeah, it was a little hard to tell from the angle that we have or had for that moment. Unfortunately, no replays to go and review it, but they were certainly racing each other hard, and it was a great watch up until that moment. But yeah, unfortunately, just not ending the way we would have liked to have seen it. But sometimes that does happen when people are fighting hard, really pushing the limits. And yeah, we just have to accept that.
Do indeed. Oh, back at it very briefly for qualifying 2 of this evening, and we'll go to the qualifying for what is 5 minutes, I do believe, if I recall correctly. Short qualifying, not as many chances for these guys to set laps. May shake up the order a little bit, and we go for race 2, and then race 3, that infamous full reverse grid race to wind up the evening here for round 6, Phillip Island on the Assetto Corsa JCW Mini World Tour.
Yeah, we can see the full race results from that first race. You can see quite a few. Adamide having a good race, up 5 places. Paulo Grady, disappointing race for them, dropping down 5 places themselves. But yeah, Hartnett and Bevan down 4 and 3 places after that late crash. They finished 6th and 7th. Yeah, I imagine Hartnett, if you're Harkonnen, you're going to be quite disappointed. You were leading the entire race under tremendous pressure on the final lap to only come away with the P6. Yeah, must be a bit disappointing.
Yes, really cool. But you get to go at it all over again. Another 2 quarter-hour races just to settle the score and see if Alfie can get that race win again. But that was just brilliant. It's never nice seeing it like that, but what a wonderful race we did have in the end.
Yeah, it was a wonderful race indeed. Now, an interesting part of the second race coming up is the grip will be a little bit lower than what we've seen for that first race. That might affect how some people's confidence. We've seen a few mistakes in that previous race. We might see a couple more as people just surprised by we see out onto the track. The drivers do have a 5-minute warm-up session, of which a couple of drivers, Frieza, Dondolo and Paulo Grady, at the moment only cars out on track. But yeah, it won't be too long before we get going for that second qualifying session.
It's going to be incredible. I can't wait. Even though we've only got 15 drivers, we weren't short of something to talk about. And yeah, if we're going to have another race like that, and then on a reverse grid as well for race 3, we are going to be spoiled.
Yeah, we absolutely are. I mean, that success ballast really coming into play. And yeah, that having, we've seen for Frieza, was, pretty quick, only a 10th off of pole for that first race. But despite that, it didn't look like it was easy for them coming back through the field. They had to fight for it, they had to work for it, and they did, only get up to P6 before that final crash between Hartnett and Alfie. So when we have the full grid reversed, when the drivers are not just fighting to get past the cars in front of them, but fighting each other. Their championship contenders who'll be joining them at the back of the grid. Should their races go well in the upcoming race, things could get really, really spicy.
Could do so indeed. Now, as we just take a brief pause until the drivers get back into the server. There is currently a bit of a warm-up for these guys to rejoin the server and get everything all set up once more before we go for 5-minute qualifying. Oh, there's a big green field. Is that an animal returning from last week's stream?
Oh, look, we have a friend returning. What?
Ah! I did not. As soon as you showed that to me, I was sold. If you're getting confused, people, do look at last week's stream. You'll have all the answers from last week's round of Assetto Corsa. Oh, I love it. Absolutely love it.
I originally said I was going to do that for last week, and I forgot, and then I remembered about it coming up to this week, and I was like, it's too good not to. I don't know. Maybe we'll see if the cow will have a reaction to make for something that happens this race. Yeah, we will see. But yeah, not too long now. We're just waiting for the session overtime. I'm really surprised by only 3 of our drivers have gone out for laps in this warm-up. I would have expected a few more of them to get out, refamiliarize themselves with the grip the track is giving, but also, of course, put some laps down. Every lap they do helps contribute to the track getting even grippier. And so a couple of the drivers, at least, have said they're not as keen on the lower grip track. I'm surprised they're not out there trying to help make it a little more favourable towards them.
Yeah. Well, unless it is wanting the chaos. Who knows?
I will absolutely take the chaos. Hopefully, with only 15 drivers, should be some controlled chaos. But yes, we just have just under 90 seconds for the qualifying session to begin. As I said, only 5 minutes this time, so that means drivers will only have about 2 flying laps to get in. We've seen a few drivers last session struggling to get laps in. Took them a little bit of time through invalidating their laps. Wonder if we'll see any big runners. We've seen how tight it was in that first qualifying. If you want to be up front, you've really got that all on the table. But we've seen how easy it is just to have something fall off the table and not have a lap in at all.
I know. It's going to be interesting. The track state, even though it's only a few percentage points down on what it was in the first session, it does make an impact. It will be noticeable when these guys do notice it when they're out on circuit.
Yeah, we'll see how close they can get to the previous pole time. It was 1:44.625 by Dondolo. We have seen previous weeks, sometimes there's been like 1 or 2 drivers that have put in a really good lap, have got close to it, and the rest have maybe been a little further back by like half a second. I mean, we've seen it in one of the qualifying sessions last week where it was Matt Holman put themselves half a second clear of anyone else. So I wonder if we'll see anything like that this week, or if the drivers will just struggle to match their previous time. The qualifying session is now live, so let us head out and see our drivers heading out to take the track. You can see in the top right, down at 95% grip. We were seeing 97 to 98% grip last session. So as the drivers make their way out, let's jump a little further. It's Gus Peters was at the lead of the field. Much like what we had last quali session, has made a mistake and lost track position on their out lap. Luckily, not at the final corner, with compromising their first flying lap this time, as it was for Jacob Hine last time.
Indeed. Oh, Gus, what you doing? That's not how you start your quali. Maybe was waiting for maybe a car to follow potentially in the slipstream, so hopefully rejoin the circuit. Nope, let's go back to the pit lane. So that's going to be qualifying over for him, unless he can get out like now. Indeed, he does.
He'll easily have time to get around and start a lap, but it will probably be a one-lap shootout now for Gus. Let's go to Hartnett, who is leading the train and hopefully remains leading the train by the time they finish their first flying lap. Let's get our inboard camera and let's get those driver inputs. Let's have Hartnett take us round for a lap of the wonderful Phillip Island circuit through the long left-hander that will make the final corner to start their first of 2 flying laps.
They will, and it'll be a bit of redemption if they can, if he can get up onto that pole position once more. Start the flying lap, here we go. He's got a car behind him. I'm not quite sure who that is. I believe that might be Jacob Hine actually in the slipstream. I think it is. Go through turn 1. Oh, a little bit of a lift. You need to lift in these cars with front wheel drive. You can't exactly keep it floored going through the turn. Very little downforce apart from the essentially the shape of the body pushing the car into the circuit. It goes wide in turn 2. Is able to carry a bit more momentum through the corner potentially, but looked to be a bit of a corner where he went a little bit too deep. Goes into turn 3, a little kink in turn 3, hard on the brakes for this hairpin at turn 4. Not a very tight hairpin, quite an open hairpin actually. So he can carry a bit of speed through, down to second, back up to third. And now another hairpin to the left of sorts. Gets the power down, goes uphill now into the second sector. Now relatively flat through here. Does he have to lift through this right-hander? Can you go flat in these cars? He can, just about. Shifts up to 6, will carry the speed through this long left-hander. It'll be a bit of a slowdown. Be careful to balance the brake and throttle. Going through the turn, he goes over the crest of the hill. Suddenly the braking zone appears for the next right-hander. It's second to last turn. 2 more left-handers to go. Gets the power down. Gets the car, runs out not too wide, enough to get the car turned in for this first left-hander. Goes up through the gears, and it will be there'll be a balancing of steering and throttle. You can almost go flat through here. Has to do a bit of a brief lift going through the final turn. Uses the curb on exit. Comes to the line. It will be 1 minute for sure, I can tell you that. 1:45.2. We have seen quicker. Only just though.
Is good enough to beat Alfie Bevan though by a 10th. Dondolo though fastest in the first sector, not able to beat Hartnett's time in the middle sector. Can it be a good enough final sector for Dondolo to take provisional pole? No, not enough, by 11 thousandths of a second in the opening laps. Let's take a look. Adam Ely coming through the final corner has Ben Myatt just behind, trying to pick up a slipstream. Paulo Gritty up to P7. Hartnett's into the pits. Freeze actually snatched pole position by 7 thousandths of a second.
Parker's gone to the pits. He's not going to improve.
Yeah, Gus Peters completing their lap. It's going to be tight here. Frieza off as well out of turn 2. Isn't going to improve as well, so it's all up to Dondolo or someone else. Fastest in the opening sector for Dondolo on their second lap. Can they take provisional pole here? We'll watch Gus Peters across the line for their first flying lap. They invalidated it actually, so let's go on board with Dondolo. You can see there, purple sector 1. They're coming towards the end of the second sector now. Can they improve by those 18 thousandths to get up into provisional pole, or will someone else potentially beat them?
That answer should be answered for us in the next few moments. We see a couple of cars going to their final laps. 0.01 of a second between top 3. It's insane. It just makes me laugh every time. Dondolo will be next to steal the line. Actually, it'll be Alfie Beaver to steal the line next. He's going to come to the line. It's not going to be an improvement for Alfie. He stays put. Purple sectors though for Dondolo. It's going to be close. He's going to use up all the rough. His car on the right hand side. It's Ben Myatt getting out of the way. He's going to stop on track. Bain gets up. What's that? Kawasaki up to 6. It's going to be pole for Dondolo. It's not. That final sector let him down. And it's going to be P3 for him. O'Grady, purple first sector, a bit of a torrid middle sector, but might see him improve up into the order a little bit. No, it won't. It is an improvement in time, but not in position. And the other car is setting up is Gus Peters, and he's having a bit of a torrid time. He goes, locks up the brakes on the inside there. So he goes down to the final sector.
Is 4/10 off of the fastest sector in sector 1. Middle sector again 4/10 off. He's 8/10 off on this lap, but if he can pull the final sector together, it would be P9, which is better than nothing. In fact, it's only about, looking at Freeze's pole time, is only 3/10 off in each sector, so maybe could fight for 8th or 7th potentially, but we need a good final sector here. Up to the line for Gus Peters.
No,
not
enough.
Yeah, really slow. Actually, sorry, lost 10 seconds in the first sector. I misread. I didn't see the 5 that started it. Johan is still on track, and we thought he'd finished, but this lap time might actually come. We've seen this a couple of times, so we thought the session was over, and time has come out of nowhere. Fastest middle sector for Johan. So from currently sitting P6 behind Stevie Bain, is Johan going to steal a pole position here?
If he does, it'll be cheeky. He's already seen a checkered flag. He comes to the line. It's going to count the time. 1:45.2. I'm not sure. Oh God. Okay, he's decided to plough the car into a barrier in celebratory fashion. I'm not sure if that's going to raise some eyebrows. He had seen the checkered flag. He definitely finished the session. I'm not sure if that's going to get caught by the stewards team.
Well, if the server allows it, there's not much that we can do about it now, but maybe something little there in the server that needs fixing. But Johan didn't improve in the final sector, so there may be a little bit of frustration there with how close those times are. 400ths of a second separates the top 4. Again, just how close do you want it? You know, and even we said 0.133 between the top 5 last time. This time it was 0.115. Even closer, the top 5 this session, despite it being half as long. I'd say the big loser from that session is Gus Peters. Finished P3 in that previous race. We've seen them. They were hanging on to that lead battle in P5 the whole time. But they're now down last on the grid. Going to have quite a bit of work to do.
They are indeed, I'm sure. They're going to be reveling on the opportunity to do so. But it does look like it's going to be a bit of an interesting race.
Yeah, and for comparison's sakes, that pole time was just under 6/10 slower than Dondelo's pole time from the first session. And that time would have only been good enough that this pole time would put you 7th on the grid for the first race, just to give you an idea of how much that grip difference has affected things, because it'll have a big impact on like the final corner, just being the difference between having to make that lift that we've seen Harkonnen make on their first flying lap and just being able to keep the car pinned and not have to scrub the tires too much, which will also cost you a bit of momentum.
Yes, indeed. And again, especially these cars being front-wheel drive, it's going to be a case of carrying the momentum, making sure they can keep the momentum, and if they do lose the momentum, figure out how they can get it back, figure out how they can best recover. But yeah, it's only one downside of front wheel. If you lose momentum, that's it, you're done. And you have to find a way to get it all back again.
So not long till we get ready for the second race. Now 35 seconds till we get started. Still ever so close between the top 5. Our fastest driver from race 1 starting in 5th place. 1 place further back than where they were. One of our quick runners down in 14th place. And a driver who found themselves towards the back of the field after a lap 1 mistake or incident that we didn't see. up in pole position. The lights coming on now for our second race.
Well, let's see how this all plays out. We'll go into the second race, and it's going to be lights out and away we go as we get the power down. Top two get away well. Actually, Pole City gets away very well and gets ahead of second positions. Third and fourth are side by side. They're almost going to be 3 wide down into turn one. For now, everything looks to be relatively clean. They all turn in, and the leaders are now side by side. It's almost 3 wide for the lead.
Hartnett, despite the poor launch, has got to the inside of T1 and it's going to be the outside of T2. Remember, this is how they took the lead and led for most of the previous race. The rear sliding and just about holds it off of the grass, which would have been an almost guaranteed spin. All of our drivers through the first 2 corners cleanly, still fighting. Johan to the inside of Hartnett now, through turn 3, but that of course will turn to the outside of the hairpin cars, still bunched up. Look at Stevie there as Alfie's making it 3 wide down the inside. Both of them has stolen P2 there. Stevie trying to benefit as well on the exit.
Always going 3 wide. Almost a Mini Cooper sandwich. Oh, that's a door bump for that's Alfie Bevan from Kalzak. I saw what happened when he door bumped through that corner last time out with Otto Harkonnen. Let's hopefully won't see a repeat of that for last race. But for now, everyone getting through the first lap relatively okay.
Per start for Dondolo, who's fighting back with Jacob Hind to get themselves up to P6, already down 4 places as well. So Hartnett, as Alfie gets onto the grass out of turn 9, has gone deep into the hairpin and has got these places. Adam Ide running deep as well and shoving Ben Myatt wide there off of the racing line. Bit of friendly love between 2 admins. Gus Peters trying to take advantage after that mistake. Overstray as well has also had an issue in the middle sector as Adam Ely with the punt.
He's not going to be pleased with himself, and I'm sure he'll be cursing away as to why in the world he did that. Toscano is going to keep going, however, but that's going to be, if the things stay the way they are, that's going to be a very spicy front row for race 3.
Adam, I want you to imagine me staring into your soul.
Karolzak's on spin, dropping the positions. And yes, we were always staring at Adam's soul as Karolzak has had an incident, drops down from 3rd. I do wonder if that was a bit of running wide onto the grass and then losing the car and learning that the car cannot handle rallycross.
We have someone in this race who advertises themselves as a bit of a reverse grid merchant. This isn't the reverse grid race yet. They find themselves up in P2. Good race so far by Stevie. Up 4 places from P6 on the grid. Good start. Can Stevie hold on to this P2 as Friese is starting to pull away out front?
No, he's peaked too early. This is his downfall now. Stevie Bain in second, doing good, and that's Hine electing to turn his only delivered Mini Cooper into a lawnmower, finding it doesn't work, and then we'll rejoin, but down in 9th position. That is going to hurt.
Stevie as well, purple first sector on this lap, so showing that this isn't a flick. He does have some pace and deserves to be up the front there. Gus Peters in the recovery drive, fastest middle sector. Johan right on the back of Tim Bobbins, go build the inside of T1. I just seen the time difference there between first and second. 1,000th of a second in Stevie's favour makes it the fastest lap of the race as well. How close do you want it? Stevie showing he does have the pace to be up front as Johan has got the move done on Tim Bob, and Gus Peters is going to be the next one putting Tim under pressure. Our current championship leader. See in the background Alfie Bevan also trying to put Jacob Hine under pressure after their mistake. Both of those drivers, remember, running wide at turn 9. Alfie on the opening lap of the race, Jacob on that previous lap, and again Stevie being fastest opening sector of the race so far.
Absolutely loving it, is Stevie. He's done low on his tail though, half a second behind. So as much as he's putting his foot down, he's also got someone equally doing the same thing right behind him as well. Only about 0.4 a second, actually 0.3 of a second now I say that. And that's going to be a gap that's going to close, and a battle for second, I think, is shortly going to ensue as Tim Bob's landed out from in normal timing tower. It's just going to drop him down to the right position in a few moments' time.
Stevie, yes, Stevie's sitting in P2. Hasn't had a great middle sector, and Dondolo fastest in the middle sector. You can see how much that gap has closed up. Though Dondolo running a little bit wide in the penultimate corner. Using a bit of grass. Oh, can they get a run through the final corner? Let's go on board with them as they try and chase down Stevie for second.
Did go well. It's in the slipstream. It's not going to be enough to turn one. No, don't you think about it, Dondolo. That would be a daft move. You just try to slink up the inside. You can't really slink up the inside here. It's not much of a braking zone to do so. Sticks it on the back end of that slipstream from Stevie Bain. And the gap closes and closes, almost makes contact. I think the leader was also having a little separate issue of their own as well. Oh, there's contact, Alfie Bevan. And that is
Jacob Hine.
Jacob Hine.
Both of them using the front wheel drive to straighten themselves up, not losing too much time despite the severity of the crash. They'll lose out to Tim Bob, lose a couple of seconds, but they will carry on. Jacob still in front. But yeah, both of these drivers will be trying to chase down Tim and get that position back, as things have surprisingly spread out a little bit more this race than they did in the first race. A couple of mistakes owing to that as well as an incident between Adam Ely and Toscano earlier on.
Yeah, it's just a bit of frustration from Alfie, I reckon, trying to lost those positions at the start of the race, and is trying to get all those positions back again.
I think that's sort of been Alfie's downfall. He's, maybe found himself back a little bit, trying to come back. He's got himself involved in an instant picked a penalty up, and then that's just lost him more points. And that's how he finds himself down in the standings a little bit. A little reminder of the ballast situation for this race. You can see Alfie 30 kilos for being 5th in the championship, and Ben Knight has taken a little venture out of the hairpin at T10.
We did. He's going to, I'm sure, look to regain that position in a brief moment's time, but for now it looks like it's going to be back at the grid finish for Ben as we see Jacob Hine get back up inside of Tim Bob, and that is a recovery drive as well from after having an incident of Alfie Bevan.
Yeah, Jacob running a little bit wide. Tim is going to look to the inside here. There you have to imagine Jacob will have the momentum. Alfie trying to set a move up here. Tim holding that tight line has compromised him, and Alfie's just going to have the momentum. Tim obviously in the AM class compared to these two in the pro class, maybe not fighting that one too hard, but Alfie here maybe thinking of a move. Jacob defends the inside, Alfie going the long way round. Tim just poking the nose up the inside there, might compromise Alfie, prevent them from making a cutback, and Jacob will hold on for now. I wonder how much does Alfie want to get past Jacob, or does he maybe want to work with Jacob? We've seen Alfie with the bump drafting last week. I wonder if we'll see any more of it this week as well. I think we have our answer already.
Yep. He does like a good bump draft, and they try and help him get up the order and help the car ahead of him get up the order as well. Looks to be working for him reasonably well. Paul Grady's a strong position at Kawasaki, who's also recovering from what has been a bit of a torrid race. Alfie Beaver and Jacob Hine now electing to fight for position outside to the inside. Has a nose on the inside that gets chopped off by Jacob Hine as they go through the penultimate turn.
Final corner now. Alfie could barely be any closer, even running a little bit wide onto the grass, and does look like Alfie is just going to bump draft Jacob, just trying to push him along. But you can see the time there for Jacob, 46.0, slower than Gus Peters. That's not what either of these two drivers want, but a little slide from Jacob, trying to hang on to the rear end through the high speed turn 1. Again, not going to help these two as they try and close up to Gus Peters in front.
Indeed, and it is going to be a very interesting battle as that develops through the latter stage of this race.
Again, Jacob defending the inside to the hairpin. Alfie trying to go round the outside. Jacob just parking the car on the inside, preventing any cutback. And again, that rear bumper of Jacob's going to have quite an Alfie-shaped dent in it, as we see these drivers exiting turn 6 towards this back end of the circuit. Let's get a little bit of a better camera. Again, through this back end, Alfie maybe not necessarily thinking of a move, just trying to bump draft, or is he going to try and go the long way round of turn 9? Is sending it here, will be the inside for T10. And this does look like it could be moved done, as long as he gets braking done before the hairpin correctly. But Jacob sends it into the hairpin, runs it deep, and holds on to the place. What a move by Jacob.
Clean, fair fighting between the two. You love to see it.
I really thought Alfie had that move done, but Jacob on the outside, fighting back brilliantly. Runs a little bit wide, clips the grass on the exit of the final corner here. That's given Alfie a really good run, and before they even cross the start-finish line, Alfie is through, though Jacob into the back of Alfie a little bit there. That's a little bit odd.
Bit cheeky, wouldn't it? Just a little bit.
3T1, both of these drivers running wide. Alfie putting a couple of wheels onto the grass. Jacob all 4, maybe pushing a little bit too hard. The gap to Gus Peters has opened up to 3.6 seconds. Just to go help these two, but a little further up, Dundlow is back onto the rear of Stevie Bain. Wonder, Stevie, the laps have been decent, has had another fastest sector 1, which seems to be Stevie's strong suit here, maybe helped out by that ballast. But Dundlow now closed up the gap a little bit. We'll have the slipstream. Pressure is on, 3 minutes 20 left in the race.
Get a good crack on it. He's going to try and push up those positions, but Stevie Bain not able to take that lead position. But Donzo still looking racy. 3 minutes to go. Stevie goes wide, and he's able to try and get the car back on racing line. He does indeed, but looks to be struggling a little bit with the car.
And these drivers cross the line. It will be 2 laps remaining in the race. Time is running out for Dundlow. They're already in a podium place, but they're trailing Friese in the championship, at least coming into this round. Of course, we'll have gained a bit with that first race, having won the race, and Friese being down in P4, but will not want to lose too many points again here. Jacob Hine, ride out of the final corner, is into the gravel, has lost a place to Tim Bob for what has been quite a struggle this race for Jacob.
It's not been the best.
Yeah, but we'll just stick with this on board as Dundlow trying to chase down Stevie Bain for P2.
Indeed, not too far behind, but it's going to be It's going to be towards the end of this race. I'm not entirely sure he's going to be close enough, or he's closing. It'll be this lap. Potentially, this actually will be the penultimate lap.
Yeah, Dundlow, as a reminder, has the fastest lap of the race. Nearly 3/10 quicker than both drivers in front. But it's one thing having fastest lap, it's another actually making the overtake into the hairpin. Stevie just running that slightly tighter line, a little more defensive, sort of indicating that he is feeling the pressure. But it is just over 1 lap to go, not long to go. Can Stevie hold on here for the podium position for P2?
He'll certainly try, isn't he? 1 more to go. It will be a fight for that best of the rest position. And Steve was actually quicker than Fraser up ahead. And that gap has closed, and it's not going to be enough. He needs another lap or two to potentially close the gap a little bit more to Stevie. So it will be maybe just a lap of looking in the rearview mirror as Dundlow thinks about putting nose at the inside. Can't quite make it work there. And that gap is now looking mighty threatening.
really is threatening indeed, but it is just 2/3 of a lap to go. Dondolo thinking about the inside into hairpin. Stevie just coming across, clues off, and Dondolo goes back to the racing line. Gus Peters is also closed up to the back of Paulo Grady and is trying to get that move done on the inside of the hairpin. Paulo Grady trying to come back with a cutback, but isn't going to get the move done. But that is just for overall those drivers in two separate classes. Peters in Pro, O'Grady in Am. So we'll swap back for the end of this race. Dondolo, time is running out as they come over this left-hander. It's into the final sector. Just a few more corners to go.
It's going to be close. It's going to be so close between them all. Don't think Dondolo has it. He needs a good run for his final turn, but also Stevie Bain will probably get a good slipstream from the leader and may be able to survive this. Down through the final turn they go. It will be Fraser for the win, as suspected. Stevie Bain hard fought second. Dondolo third. Harkin fourth. And who is it going to be for the rest of the field? Karolzak fifth. Then Peters, followed closely by Grady. Bevan eighth. Ninth for Tim Bob. Hine will be 10th. And it'll be Overstreet, Ben, Adam, and Toscano. So Toscano will start on pole for the final race this evening. It'll be it'll be Adam Ely in second, Ben Myatt third, Overstreet in fourth. And my oh my, that's going to be a spicy front row considering Toscano and Adam came together in that final in that final place position.
Yeah. Toscano a lap down, but is coming round. I'm surprised how Toscano has actually made a trip through pit lane in that race, so that's how they've found themselves a lap down, but should still be on the front rows of the grid as we see our drivers crossing the line to finish now. And that is how our race ends. Good race from Peters there to make up 8 places, having struggled in the short qualifying session. Good race from Stevie Bain, taking advantage of what chaos there was to make up 4 places.
Yeah, fantastic result for Stevie. He'll start down in second to last. They'll have the whole field ahead of him essentially to try and make up positions. But yeah, that is going to be a interesting wow, how I did stutter. It'll be an interesting race for him, having the essentially front row tickets to what the rest of the grid is doing up ahead of him for race 3.
Well, be indeed. So we'll have a couple of minutes for the drivers to cool themselves down with the hot days that we have at the moment. Yes. Before they go for 15 minutes of probably the most difficult, the most frantic racing so far tonight. They're probably glad that they had a bit of a tamer race too before we get into this what is hopefully going to be an action-packed third race.
Yes, I'm sure it will be. Stay tuned, folks, for Reverse Grid for race 3 this evening. And yeah, we'll see what these guys can do when the grid is all backwards.
Yes, it won't be too long now till we have the third and final race begin. Sometimes this week can feel really long, sometimes it's really short, depending on the race that you've just had.
Indeed. Just await the grid to be formed, and yes, it'll be an interesting one to see. For those who had finished a bit further up, it's going to be a race of, oh God, what do I do kind of thing of how do I figure this one out? Try and let the drivers up ahead of them that were slower try and fight their way, maybe capitalise, or they try and actually fight through the field and get those higher positions. They know they have the drivers that's finished up ahead and start the grid. Know they have pace. That's the thing. But do they use it, or do they try and come back a little bit? Quarter of an hour races don't give them much time for options either. They have to maybe be a bit more proactive in their approach to the race.
Yeah, we've been seeing 9 laps for the races tonight. Should be the same as well, as we've started the final lap with about a minute in hand. So we should still see 9 laps, even if it is a little bit slower with the reverse grid. It'll be interesting. The drivers that have found themselves a little further back, it's not been that easy to make a recovery drive. You know, overtakes a little bit tricky, but certainly possible. When we have, we've seen how evenly matched with the success ballast a lot of our quick drivers are. How much are they going to be fighting each other, and how much are they going to be fighting those cars that they're having to overtake for position?
It's that ever growing question of, do I get risky? Do I try and get those positions done early? For entertainment purposes, I sincerely hope they do. But yeah, it's a tricky one.
It's a tricky one indeed. Let us switch over. We'll go on board with our race 2 winner, and subsequently starting last on the grid for our final race, Friese, having taken pole position last time. Stevie Bain just on the left-hand side, Dondolo in front, Harkonnen, another quick driver in front as well. All the lights are coming on for the final race here tonight at Phillip Island. And they launch away. Purster from Dondolo, bogged down. They'll lose out Steve Bain immediately. And to the left-hand side, it's going to be a position gained already for Friese towards T1 now. A little bit of a gap in front because of that. Will we see any carnage in front? Seems to be clean so far through T1 into T2 now, where things concertina up a little bit more. That's a car spinning in the mid pack. That's quite a few cars spinning, and Friese's got spun themselves.
That is not what you want to see. Karolzak, Meyer, and Harkonnen. Down now in last position. That's a bit of a sketchy redrawing from Ben Meyer.
To the front, Jacob Hine trying to go around the outside of Adam Ely for the lead of this race. Adam trying to hold on, but Hine, with the run on the outside, is going to get the move done into turn 6 and will hold the inside line. That'll be the lead. Can Jacob Hine break away? Alfie Bevan managed to survive. The opening lap chaos is up to P3 as Steve Bain is fighting side by side here with Gus Peters. Bit of a more door banging as they come towards turn 9.
It is getting a bit feisty with one another. It's absolutely fine to see, but just being a little bit careful, I would imagine, as they enter the early stages. The race is a very short race, but early stages nonetheless, as they all try and figure out what in the world they want to do. Bain dropping positions at the start. No, I stand corrected. Gaining positions at the start. It's a reverse race. What am I talking about? He's up into 5th and is now looking to try and get a move done for 4th position. It's all over the bumper of Gus Peters, who's going to show him no willingness to try and allow him to get alongside. And I think Steve has actually now forced the issue, says, look, I'm here, you can't ignore me. I want that inside line. It actually goes for it, gets the move done.
Yeah, but Peters is going to try and come back into turn 2, was thinking of switching back to the inside, but Stevie had it covered. More cars sliding off, including leader Jacob Hine into the gravel, and it's still side by side. Peters has got the cutback lead on in the corner and is on the inside.
That's going to be Gus Peters 3rd, Stevie Bain 4th, Hines dropped to 7th, sadly. Whatever happened at the start of that, on the lead of that race, it's seen Adam Ely withhold the lead. Oh, and Stevie goes deep.
Both them and Peters, who actually made a dive up the inside of Alfie, not sure if it was intentional, but both of them breaking very late into the hairpin, fighting each other. Unfortunately for Stevie on the outside, it didn't quite work out. Jacob getting in front of Toscano immediately pulls over to defend from Friese, cutting across their nose, trying to make the places up. Friese trying to look for the gap now as Toscano again defending the inside here, but that might allow Friese to go right round the outside. We'll give them the inside for turn 10, but that doesn't mean it's moved on, as we've seen from Jacob last race. And yet Toscano is going to hold it the long way round, but it's ran a little bit deeper. Will hold on. Out by the front, meanwhile, Gus Peters trying to go round the outside of Adam Ide to take the lead. Alfie Bevan trying to force the issue, get to the inside. A little bit of a tap, a little bit of a slide from both of the drivers. Top three fighting for the lead.
Okay. They're giving it all. They're really saying, look, come on, guys, let's go and race. I want to race you guys. But wow, what an eventful start to this final race this evening. And it's still all up for grabs. Gus Peters now wants to have a go at Adam for position, and Alfie's not too far behind. They're going side by side. Adam defends inside. Alfie's going to mug them both, and they're 3 wide. And Adam sees the worst end of it and goes onto the grass. Oh, pulls the car back around front wheel drive.
Oh, very lucky there he's able to do that. I think just didn't quite realise he'd gone so deep that 2 cars had got a cut back on him and came together. Tim Bob just manages to get through and will take the AM lead for the race, but down the inside goes Adam Ide. I think that's a little too much of a scent. Won't get the car slowed down as Alfie Bevan and Gus Peters fighting for the lead out front.
Bit of contact. Gus now having the inside line, but I think Alfie's going to get it done around the outside, and that is now going to be the cork going pop in the bottle. And I think Alfie's now going to be trying to extend that lead over Gus Peters.
Jacob now on the back of Adam Ide after that mistake is going to use the slipstream to pull to the inside. Little tap between the two of them unsettles Adam's car, who's maybe still a little bit flustered after what happened at turn 2. Try and hold it to the inside. Can Adam repeat what Jacob did last race? No, in fact, Friese tries to look down the inside. Adam Ide very tight on the apex and has a sort of bit of a queue of cars trying lining up to pass him here. Let's go look over the rear wing of Adam as they head through the final corner.
Looking at Fraser, looking to try and close the gap. Actually, Adam gets a really good run, extends the gap ahead of Fraser. Behind him, Paul O'Grady looking racy does our oNiD admin there on the outside line. It's not going to work into turn 1. It actually queues on the outside. It's going to lose out time going wide through that corner, and it's going to have to maybe, as I said at the start of the race, you lose momentum, you have to recover. That puts Dondolo right on the tail of Paul O'Grady for position as well.
Stevie Bain trying to attack Tim Bob for overall podium, has got a good exit out of turn 2. Inside for turn 3. Is Tim going to fight this back on the inside of the hairpin? He's maybe. It's hard to tell. If it's an attack, it was a very half-hearted one. And Stevie holds it round the outside up into P3. Is maybe going to try and chase down Gus Peters, but we'll have to see if he has the pace. 2 seconds is the gap there. Let's look back to Dondolo, who's trying to put the pressure on Paul O'Grady. As he mentioned, looking to the inside, wasn't quite far enough to get alongside.
No, he wasn't, but he's definitely going to try and make some moves. He's got 8 minutes to claw his way back up the order. And you know he's got the pace. All the things about making a move up the inside on O'Grady there and realise he's held on it. Let's not dive up the inside. O'Grady is going to come to stop at the corner. As up ahead, that's Lord Fraser. And now under attack from Adam Ely. And I think Adam Ely's going to get alongside potentially. And actually, is that move done? It is move done. I think Adam was actually one that was already ahead. And so it was corrected. It was Fraser looking to try and make a move on Adam.
Yeah, through the final corner. This train really bunching up with the slipstream. Can see the power of that slipstream now. Which way does Friese go? Outside of T1. There's Hydra, or Paul O'Grady right there in the background. Round the outside goes Friese. As Paul's still trying to poke to the inside, we'll switch to the inside of T2, trying to follow Friese through as Alfie Bevan has run wide out front. So has Tim Bob, and Friese is through for P6.
Oh my word. They're getting at it, aren't they? We'll give him that.
Yeah, to the inside, Friese sending it on Paul O'Grady, who's trying to fight back here on Friese. just making it very clear that the move isn't necessarily done. They're going to fight back, but they also have to be worried a little bit about Dondolo in the rear view mirror. He's also trying to put the pressure on, trying to fight through.
GDS is going to have to try and make a move at some point. He's right on the tail and lets the pull out now. Just Paul O'Grady on Fraser. No, please don't make contact through there. For the love of God. Wheels locking up. Like most kind of small hatchback cars, you'll get these cars cock the rear wheels as they go through a corner and rubs against the tarmac, creating that tyre smoke we see in Assetto Corsa. But for now, all line astern, it is what 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th, and Fraser now looking very racy on Tim Bob ahead.
Yeah, with the slipstream is closing up as we see Stevie being setting a personal best lap 6/10 quicker than Gus Peters out front. Stevie is going to go and try and win this race, but we'll continue on with this battle for the moment. Into T2, you can see the drivers fanning out a little bit, looking for a bit of space, thinking how can they get themselves alongside the driver in front.
Anything they can do at this point will surely make an impact in the race, but for now it's just line astern. It's nets, it's status quo between the drivers. Is that a move from Fraser? No, thinks better of it.
The camera angle kind of a little bit deceiving on if the car has got alongside or not, but Tim Bob holding on for now. Of course, has won a race, not just within the AM class, but overall back at Sportsland Sogo earlier this season. It's not fighting for a win this time, but Tim Bob is still fighting hard nevertheless. Trying to hold on to a top 5 overall here.
Yes, it absolutely is. Trying to make it work, as he's trying to get the move done. But up ahead, they say if they're fighting, Tim Bob's actually managed to close the gap on Alfie Bevan. Harkonnen's off again, sadly. And that's dropping down to last position. What could have been for Harkonnen? One of the faster racers.
He was fighting with Adam E there. I wonder if Adam's found himself in a spot of bother once again. Hopefully not for his sake. But these drivers pushing Paulo Gritty into the gravel a little bit. That's going to be free place for Dondolo right there.
Yoink. That is gifted move there, really, but Fraser and Dondolo now going to be looking to fight with one another. Shane for O'Grady drops a couple of positions, but crucially keeps car pointing in the right direction and is able to continue.
Currently, both of these championship contenders in front of their other championship contender, Johan, who isn't too far behind there. You just see in the back of shot. So to these two drivers, if they fight each other hard, that could allow Johan to close in, but they're going to want to fight each other. They will want to be the driver in front, scoring those championship points. Tim Bob runs a bit wide the hairpin there. It might allow them to close up. And if this continues on, we could see a 5-way battle here for P5.
That will be spicy. That'll be cool to see, actually. Hopefully they'll get together with one another. Not in that way, but hopefully they'll get fighting very, very shortly, and that'll be interesting to see.
Fraser trying to go around the outside of turn 9. Does Tim Bob fight back much in turn 10? Dondolo is sending it down the inside, has found the gap and is going to prevent him from fighting back on Fraser, not wasting any time to follow their championship contender through. That puts 2 AM drivers between Dondolo and their third championship contender, Johan, just in the background. Important laps here for Johan coming up. While there is 2 AM drivers, so of course don't affect the pro class points, there is still an overall championship that these drivers might be concerned about, and that is the championship, remember, that sets the success ballast. Paulo Grady fighting with Tim Bob, as we've seen Alfie Bevan trying to chase down Jacob Hines, actually trying to get a move, as Gus Peters from the lead of the race has run wide at T2, and that is like Stevie being through to take the lead. We said he's a reverse grade merchant. And despite being on the last row of the grid this race, he finds himself in the lead. Alfie Bevan now trying to fight with Jacob Hine for second place.
Oh, that changes things, doesn't it? Oh my. Cool. So, a little while to go for... Actually, no, it's only about 1 minute 38. This will be the penultimate lap. He's only got one lap to hold the lead. Go on, Stevie.
Paul O'Grady down the inside of Tim Bob at turn 6. Can Tim carry the momentum? It's going to be side by side for these two. That's allowed Johan to close in, but can Johan find the gap to get past one of, if not both, of these drivers? Look at Johan looking for the gap, looking to the middle of these two drivers. Inside for Paul O'Grady, 3 turn 9. Tim Bob falls back on the outside and allows Paul to defend the inside into the hairpin. Dondlow's got themselves in front of Friese as well. A little bit of grass on the inside of the car before Tim compromising their line, and Paul has got themselves in front, and Johan now having to concern themselves with Johan behind. That's like a little further up, fight for the podium. Alfie Bevan closing in with the slipstream on Tim Bob. Closing isn't going to be able to get alongside though into T1.
Yep, Jacob Hine, defending from Bevan for the P2 now as they go up through turn 1. It's the last lap. Can Alfie get that that basically best of the rest? P2. Stevie's got enough of a gap. He needs to keep on fighting. This win looks to be in the bag.
As long as Stevie doesn't make a mistake, which what we've seen so far this race is easier said than done. Looking to the outside, trying to get the inside for the hairpin is Alfie Bevan, but Jacob Pine in the heat of the moment misses our breaking point into the gravel. If they don't get on quick enough, they're going to drop all these positions of this fight. There goes Johan, who has got himself in front of Tim Bob, but Jacob Hine is actually going to try and fight this one with the inside into turn 6, and Tim trying to get to the inside as well, but the space isn't there. Johan carrying the momentum on the outside will hold on to the place.
That's proper gutting, that is. So Jacob all the way down to 8th. It's going to be Stevie. He's going to take this win. A few more corners to go. I severely hope I haven't just given a commentator's curse by saying Stevie's going to win. But it looks pretty set. 2 more corners to go. 1 more corner to go. 1 long left-hander. We'll say congratulations, Stevie Bain. Race winner. The reverse grid. Well, what was the word you used, Scotty? I can't remember. Reverse grid.
Merchant.
Merchant with the reaction comes across the line for the win of race 2, and he's celebrating, and so he should. What a marvellous finish for him as reaction. Everyone through to P9 has now seen a check flag. Not too much of a gap between everyone. Hine and Kalzak getting across the line, 0.089 between the two. It's going to be Harkonnen. What could have been for Harkonnen? And then Toscano taking the final position. Look at that. Bain up 12 positions. It's incredible.
What a race. Another one of those races where we just cannot keep up with everything going on. I wonder, could we maybe get Stevie in to see how he feels about that? Because I imagine he's quite elated.
See if we can. Where is he? Where is our race 3 winner? Is he in his Discord? He isn't. Oh, yes, he is. Right. I hope he's listening in because I'm about to drag him down. He's going to be mighty surprised. Let's hope he's not swearing or anything in the voice chat he's in. We're going to...
You're doing this the risky way.
I am doing it the risky way, and I absolutely love it. Let's drag Stephen Bain down. Race win. Stevie Bain. Good evening, sir.
The reverse grid bandit is back.
Reverse grid bandit. There you go.
I think reverse grid merchant is, or bandit as you put it, is underselling yourself a little bit. Second in the second race as well, and not just there by luck, they're on pace as well.
Yeah, so what may have happened in race 1 was my clutch was bound to about 95% max.
Oh,
And that's why I got a drive-through and had a drive-through last week twice.
whoopsie doodles.
Fixing that helped.
Yeah.
It certainly did. It feels a bit of an understatement for how strong that those second and third races. You were constantly setting the fastest first sector in that second race. Like, genuinely
Really?
was not a fluke. You were
Mm,
on pace.
you were going for it, sir.
Still going to send it. Yeah. No, I'm enjoying the minis. They're good fun. You can
Yes.
get sideways. And as long as your clutch is set right, you can have a good start.
Yep.
So,
Very good indeed. That was a wonderful race to see for you, I must admit. Next week, however, we are off to another circuit, which I definitely should check. Thank you, Scotty. Solomon Raceway, NASCAR. So it is.
there's some good jumps there.
Oh no! Don't say that. Good lord. Thoughts for next week? You excited for it?
Yeah, there's good jumps. Just said. I think that was where I had the first reverse grid win in the touring cars.
Oh, so
So-
bringing it all back full circle.
Exactly. So yeah,
Love it.
should be good fun.
Well, congratulations. We'll chuck you back up to the voice channel you were in. But thank you for. Well, you didn't have much of a choice, but thanks for chatting with us. That was much appreciated, and we'll speak to you very soon.
Bye bye.
There he goes. And did put me into the right chat. That was wonderful. Scotty, it's been a wonderful evening, hasn't it?
It has been some great racing. We didn't quite see what happened at the start of that third race, but we sort of seen quite a few people making mistakes on their own at turn 2, with just how sort of clustered the field would have been going into there. All it takes is one person just to have the rear sliding out a little more than they expect to, a little bump in. With AC, you don't really have little bumps. The game kind of exaggerates them, so no one does really anything wrong, and it just somehow snowballs into this bigger and unfortunate incident. But it certainly didn't take away from the race at all. We've seen plenty of fighting. Stevie, as we said, his pace there in the second race was there. It was a deserved P2, not just, oh, we got lucky. He fully deserved that P2.
Yeah.
And so you have to say, yeah, he also deserved that race 3 win, keeping it clean, avoiding the incidents, whether through luck or putting himself right place at the right time, and good heads up driving. Yeah, fantastic driving from Stevie, and yeah, some fantastic racing throughout the grid, and yeah, very enjoyable race. We will have to bring Phillip Island back maybe later this year.
Who knows? Maybe. Until then, until next week, we're going to actually take a brief moment just to go over the rest of the schedule. Good on point graphics. Thank you, Scotty. We've just had our mini bowl tour race this evening. Wednesday, tomorrow, back with Simhound Academy at Kota. But the shorter version of Kota with a bit of a cut through after the first couple of corners. A bit of a mind screw. I'm not gonna lie.
I thought it was a fill out.
No. Wow, if it is, I've been told a lie.
You might have been told many lies at this point. Who knows?
Oh.
No, it
no.
is the short layout, folks. I'm just messing with Aiden.
You cheeky thing. Wednesday, a short layout of Kota for multi-class racing, LMP 2, LMP 2.
You don't even know what car you blew the engine up of.
All right, that's all right. LMP2 and GT3 multi-class racing on a Wednesday. Thursday, return for iRacing, the British Rally 4 Series at Silverstone National on iRacing. And then Sunday, we're back with our feature stream, LMU 100 Series, multi-class racing, hypercar, and GT3 for what will be a fantastic evening's worth of racing. And LMU
Monza.
At Monza. Oh, the Temple of Speed. Cool, that's going to be interesting. Then we return Monday for the LMU GT3 Festival. We start week 7 on Monday, and that will be
At
at
Imola.
Imola. Cool. So, jam-packed rest of the week to come. We are actually closing up on the end of season 3. Not many weeks to go, only a couple more weeks after today, and we will be rounding up season 3. And then we get on to season 4. What plans may we have? Stay tuned to find out. If you're watching live, thank you so much for your support. If you're watching back this stream, again, thank you very much. And to all, if you want to get involved, it's Discord. Type in your web browser, discord.gg/oNiD Community Racing. Follow us on Twitch as well, and come and follow us on Twitter. We are on there quite actively now on the social media side of things, so do come and show your support. It would be a pleasure. Until then, thank you very much for your viewership. We'll hopefully see you all very, very soon. Good night.